So here's Albers to face Aaron Altair. And Altair sends one in the air to deep left center field. Taylor going back. It is gone! And we are tied up at 5. Off the bench, Aaron Altair. 3-run home run. It's a 5-5 game.
Hello everyone, it is May 12th, 2017. It is 6:25 p.m. and the Philadelphia Flyers still hold the second overall pick in the NHL entry draft. I'm not dreaming. It's a lovely feeling, isn't it?
It's a reality. Oh, it's a reality without question. It's still sinking in, but you know, we gotta accept it by this point.
It has actually happened, and the Flyers finally had something go right for once. Which I shouldn't jinx it though, because now that you know that something has gone right, they're gonna pass over Nolan Patrick or Hischier. They're gonna draft someone that is completely unexpected and fuck up the entire fan base.
Yeah, probably. You know, it's. I mean, you know, I don't know though. I don't think that would happen just because Hextall's been solid with drafts so far. So.
Yeah.
And prospects in general.
As long as Dave doesn't get into the draft room, I think we'll be okay.
Yeah, we should just like lock him up for like a day or whatever, and then just like tell him who he's got the next day or whatever. Yeah, that'll be solid.
Or just lock him up forever so he can't be the head coach of the team.
Also, a good idea.
But yep. So this is 15th episode of the Drive Podcast. We skipped last week because there really just wasn't like anything to talk about. It was basically just going to be Phillies and then some minor things about like Nolan Patrick and Nico Hischier. It's not even Hischier, it's Hischier. I learned that just from watching highlights.
Yeah.
So it's
it just, like I don't know, like you just feel like you gotta pronounce that Hischier, but okay.
Yeah, it sounds better. Like I don't know. I don't understand why.
We'll get used to it if he's on our team.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But so we got Flyers stuff to talk about today. Obviously Patrick and Hischier. Expansion things, like what's the team going to look like come expansion draft and then the entry draft. And some of the Flyers' performances at the IIHF World Championships. There are a lot more Flyers than I expected to be there.
There were a lot, yeah.
It is a lot of the team.
Oh, yeah. And there was some banter going on between some of them as well.
Yeah.
Like you know, like Radko just like clothesline Giroux. Just like mid-game, you know, no big deal. That was like hysterical. Like, if you watch that, like, it was like Radko was just like arguing with the ref, and then you just see Giroux come like skating in the background, and Radko without even batting an eye, just like clothesline.
The comparison everyone made was like the it's from Avengers.
I know,
it's like
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I saw
the Hulk punch or whatever. Yeah, It's that. It's literally like that. Like Drew's just skating along and Radko's like, "Fuck out of here."
Pretty much, yeah. He just laid him out with a swift punch. And
then Drew and Belmar were kind of getting into it, which I think he was just pissed at Belmar for costing the team like how many games last year. Oh, did I say that? I'm sorry. We also have some of the Stanley Cup playoffs to talk about. We're just gonna pass over the NBA today because it's the NBA. We know who the final two teams are going to be. It's just, you know, in the process of getting there. It's not anything we really need to go over. Yeah.
Speaking of the process.
But we do have basketball things to talk about. Sixers, just some draft scenarios. The lottery is on Tuesday, so when you're listening to this, it'll be tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Phillies and the absolute hellfire that is the bullpen.
And some more stuff, you know, some positive things, I guess, to talk about near the end or whatever. But yeah, so
primarily the bullpen being
primarily the bullpen is a dumpster fire.
But so the Stanley Cup playoffs, freaking Penguins, man, the fucking Penguins.
I hate them so much. It's like I hate the Penguins. Like
I'm just so tired of it.
It's just an unbearable hatred towards the Pittsburgh Penguins. And they just keep winning. Like it's so, like it's so redundant. Like we get it. Like they're good and everything, but like, can they just like chill for like a couple years or like?
We have to wait until Malkin and Crosby finally just retire because apparently they're just never going to stop.
Well,
because
you know,
they can go out and get guys like Phil Kessel and just be like, we're Cup champions again.
Well, you see, with Sidney Crosby, I don't know if he's going to be able to remember his name after this season. So
yeah,
that's
the NHL doesn't know how to manage concussion issues. Like we thought the NFL was bad.
Wow,
the NHL. Oh boy.
Yeah, like he got like rocked in that game, and then he just like comes into the next. Well, he sat the next game obviously, but then came back pretty much like just like that. Like I'm not sure. How they were able to get past the league on that one, but.
Well, did you hear what the league said about it?
No.
Like their reasoning behind like clearing him, basically.
No.
They said that the boards do not cause concussions. The boards can never cause that, apparently. Because, a wall, like, it's literally a wall, cannot cause brain damage if your head hits it at full speed.
And people wonder why Gary Bettman is
the
most hated commissioner.
Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that's bad. That's like some Roger Goodell level bad.
That is worse than Goodell.
Yeah.
Like, it's what is your thought process there exactly? Because why? It's boards. They're not. Well, what are you talking about? They don't cause concussions. But yeah, the NHL is fucking psychotic, and they might be taking away the greatest player probably the second greatest player in NHL history from us. And you could honestly probably make the statement that he might be the greatest just because of like time period difference, because like the 80s were wacky in the NHL and nothing made sense.
Yeah.
So like no players in the 80s were like built the way players are today now. Like it's so much different. Like,
like the competition in today's game is miles beyond what it was. Like yeah.
Like back in the 80s it was just like, hey, can you punch people? Yeah. Okay, first line winger, go out there, bud.
Yeah, pretty much. And then it was like, basically the entire league was just, hey, can you punch people? Yeah. Hey, are you Wayne Gretzky and can you just score like 15 goals a game for us? That's basically
the NHL has progressed in such a weird way. But the Penguins beat the Capitals. This is old news by now. Just in terms of like actually like legitimately old news, and then as like a joke because they always beat the fucking Capitals because the Capitals can't get past the second round of the playoffs.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I wouldn't even care so much about the Penguins winning if they actually did it legitimately, but they suck. Like, if you look at the advanced stats, they have the worst Corsi for percentage out of any team in the playoffs. Like, every team that has played. That includes Columbus. They are worse than Columbus. And they beat them. Like, how?
Yeah.
They're at a 42.11 CF percentage. How the fuck have you even won a game? Like, that is borderline, like...
atrocious.
Yeah, like, that is atrocious. Like, how does a team with Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin, Phil Kessel, fucking, Sherry, Gensel, fucking... Well, I mean, Letang's hurt, but...
Well, yeah.
Exactly. Like, that's the thing. Like, how are they this bad from a metric standpoint, and then how the fuck are they winning games? I don't understand it. And that's why when I see people saying, like, oh, Ottawa is such a shitty team to be in the Eastern Conference Finals. Fair enough, they were bad in the regular season, and they didn't really deserve to make the playoffs, honestly. But in the playoffs, they've played pretty freaking well. They have a 51.77 CF percentage, which isn't, ridiculously amazing, but it's solid.
Yeah.
They're in like the top half. Penguins, not so much.
Yeah, like Ottawa's has been better than Nashville in that regard.
Yeah, exactly.
And Nashville has been like Nashville 4-0 Chicago and then 4-2 St. Louis. Like, one thing that I will say is that like all the conference semis were pretty solid series, because like the Rangers were down 2-0 in the series to Ottawa, came back, tied it, yeah, and then
Yeah.
Ottawa went out. But like still, like, and even the Nashville St. Louis series, that went 6. Anaheim and Edmonton, that went 7, and so did Pittsburgh and Washington. So like the playoffs, like, because the first round there were a lot of beatdowns in the first round. Like there were 2 sweeps, there was a handful of 4-1s, a handful of 4-2s. There was no 7-game series in the first round, and
Like, the
like,
best
I
series
gotta
in the
say,
first round was, like, the Leafs-Cap series.
yeah,
And that was the
pretty much.
Leafs.
Yeah, and the real only, like, and that was a 4-2 win, but like Toronto kept it close most of the time, and even though Anaheim swept Calgary in the first round, like that was a close series, but like still it was a sweep. So like the conference semis were it's been a weird playoffs, yeah, because like it went from
absolutely.
just like complete for the most part, it went from just complete like sweeps and domination in the first round to like really close series in the conference semis.
Yeah, exactly, and I don't know what to make of it anymore because I don't, like, the East makes no sense. I think Nashville and Anaheim's going to be, like, it's probably going to go at the very least 6 games, but at least I actually have a direction of what that series is. I have an idea of what the direction of that series is going to be. Like, I can imagine one team, it's just going to be back and forth. It's going to be 1-0, 1-1, 2-1, 2-2, and then it's whatever for the best of 3. But Pittsburgh, Ottawa, like, I don't know what the fuck to make of it because I don't know what Pittsburgh is. Ottawa has just been on a magical run. Like, that team, it is unbelievable what they've been able to accomplish considering the players that are on that team. Like, their best player in Erik Karlsson is playing with a broken foot.
Yeah.
How are you in the 3rd round exactly? How have you reached this point?
You know, it's just a little bit of luck, I guess. Like, I don't even know. Like, you gotta just you gotta credit him, I guess, but like,
Pajot has been,
yeah,
like, he's been Danny Briere.
Mm-hmm. He has been very good. But.
One of the main things, though, that I've seen people talk about, and a thing that I really want to address is Caps fans and NHL fans alike quit blaming Alexander Ovechkin for the failures of the Washington Capitals. He is the greatest scorer that the NHL has ever seen from a talent-based standpoint. Like, he obviously still has a ways to go before he breaks Wayne Gretzky's record, if he even can reach that point. But this is once-in-a-lifetime talent right here. And people are acting like, oh, it is his fault and his fault alone that the team has failed every single playoff run. Not, Nicholas Backstrom, who has been there just as long. Not Alexander Semin when he was there. Not Braden Holtby. Not the defense. Not anyone else.
Not
it is
TJ
solely
Oshie.
on Alexander Ovechkin. Yeah, Oshie. Or
there
Justin Williams.
There was
the
a play
magical
where
Justin Williams, Game 7.
yeah, like, there was a play where Oshie literally had a wide open. I'm not sure. Were you were watching that Game 7? Did you see the one play?
Yeah.
Oshie had pretty much a wide open net, and he was on the right post, and he just whiffed the shot. Like there's just little plays
I know what
like
you're talking
that.
about now.
There's just plays like that where
Yeah.
it was Ovechkin's fault though. Like,
Well, and fucking Mike Milbury, I forget what the comment exactly. It was I think it was on the second goal, the backhander that. I don't know what to call it still. Like, I feel like it was a weak goal by On Holtby. But at the same time, it was this ridiculous backhand. Like, he was, like, at the dot, like, at the face-off dot, and he was just like, yeah, I'm just going to backhand it from here. And it just went top shelf. I'm like, how the fuck did you do that? Only Crosby can do that. How?
yeah.
But they were talking about, like, oh, Ovi didn't, like, it was a turnover by Ovechkin, and I'm like, yeah, sure, but what the fuck was the defense doing? Like, he's a winger. He's not supposed to play defense, really. That's not a winger's job. A winger's job is to, be a winger, play offense. Mm-hmm. That's not, like, how do you blame a defensive breakdown on the winger? Like, it's rare that can ever be the case. And yet, because it's Ovechkin, and because he's Russian, it can just be the whole, well, typical Alexander Ovechkin, lazy Russian, just wandering around out there. And it's just like, stop. You look silly. You look so silly trying to play that card with a guy who, as we now know, played with an injury. I forget it's something with his knee, but he had to get injections in his knee during the series.
Yeah.
Yeah, tell me it's his fault. Tell me it's his fault.
Yeah, and plus it's just playoff Capitals, man. Like it's just not a thing that is supposed to be. They're just two entities or two equities that should not be mentioned in the same sentence, I guess. Like, yeah, who knows? I'm not saying it's a curse or whatever, but like it's a curse. I don't know. It might be. It's a curse. Like, it could very well be some. Who knows? Who knows? Really? Like, it's just like a question because like they win they're the best team in the regular season nearly every season, and yet they can't get out of the second round of the playoffs. Like, who knows?
Well, and I feel like a lot of people are like underplaying that because I've seen a lot of people say, "Oh well, we've seen worse with other teams," and I'm like, "Really? Have you?" Because this is something unprecedented. Like, you're talking about a team with a generational talent that can't get past the second round. That's not normal. That's not something that we see every day, and that's not something that we've seen like something worse happen.
Yeah, and you don't
teams
really.
Have at least,
yeah, and you
like,
don't
teams
really,
have at least gone to the finals or like the semifinals.
Yeah, like, and you don't know if it's like an internal thing or a leadership thing or whatnot, but because obviously teams aren't going to talk about such like droughts such as that or like rare occurrences such as that like publicly. They're not going to talk about it publicly. So you gotta wonder, like, what is going on, or is something going on behind the scenes? Like, is there a leadership issue? Is there a management issue? Is there a coaching issue? But, yeah, like you said, to blame it on Ovechkin, one of the, if not the premier goal scorer in the history of the game, to blame it on him is just absurd.
Yeah, it's the easy way out. And it's ironic because those people are taking the easy way out, but they're saying Ovechkin is lazy.
Yeah.
And it's just... Yeah. You look silly. Don't do that. I get that it's the easy thing to do, just blame Ovechkin because he's Ovechkin, but come on, guys. He's one of the greatest players the NHL has ever seen. Show a little fucking respect.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, before we go on to the Flyers, that's another thing with Mike Milbury. He's like, the Alexander Ovechkin experiment. How dare you? How fucking dare you call the Alexander Ovechkin era an experiment? He was the #1 pick. That is not an experiment. You fucking anus. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
that is horrific to say.
You see, I didn't hear that really, but that's... Yeah.
It's so bad. Like,
yeah.
I was watching the Steve Dangle podcast earlier, and they played a clip from NBC, and it's Milbury saying that, and I'm like, how in your right mind could you call that an experiment? That's so disrespectful to
how
is
this man employed?
How is Stephen A. Smith employed?
Well, I don't know. Stephen A. Smith isn't as bad, I don't think, because like he has some genuine like decent points, but
yeah, like Stephen A. Smith is just he is what he is, and we don't need to get into the ESPN shit show. But
that's a dumpster fire.
That would like take up an entire episode.
If you're looking for a dumpster fire, look no further than ESPN.
Yeah. Screw the Capitals dumpster fire. ESPN's is worse.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's basically it for the playoffs. Quickly, let's just do our picks for the finals. Who's going to win the series? I'm just going to go with the rematch of Ottawa and Anaheim because the NHL is going to hate that with a burning passion.
I was going to say Pittsburgh and Nashville. Just because, like, I don't know, man. Like, Pittsburgh is just too, like, they're too consistent. I don't know, like Letang is out with injury and they still beat the Caps. And Nashville, I don't know. Nashville has just been playing too good to... I mean, don't get me wrong. Obviously, Anaheim is really good, and they're a really good team and whatnot. But I don't know. I just feel like Nashville has got that. They have... Because, like, obviously, they're the wild card team. So, like, they weren't really supposed to be here. So, I don't know. I just feel like the run's going to happen this year. I'll take Pittsburgh and Nashville.
All right, well, by next week, Depending on how the playoff schedule is, I'm not sure if we'll be at the finals yet.
It'll be the only way that we'll have. The only way that we will know would be if each series was a sweep, because
that's not going to happen.
Game 4 for Pittsburgh and Ottawa is on Friday at 8, and Game 4 for Anaheim Nashville is on Thursday. So.
Yeah, so definitely both series are not going to be sweeps, and I don't think one of them is going to be a sweep. So
yeah.
So it'll probably be 2 weeks from now that we get to talk about the finals, but then by then it'll be going on. So
yeah,
whatever, we'll get to it then. Yeah, so I'm picking Ottawa, Anaheim, and then yours is Pittsburgh and Nashville.
Yep.
So to transition into Flyers, so obviously all anyone can talk about the Flyers is the obvious. Is it going to be Nolan Patrick or Nico Hischier? For me, I don't think that there is a distinct difference in terms of, like, one is extremely better than the other, so I don't think it's going to be the end of the world as, like, if, you know, we get Patrick or we get Hischier. Like, it's not going to be horrific if we don't get, you know, this one specific guy. But if I have to pick a preference between the two and who I think that we're going to end up with, I'm going to say Nolan Patrick. He was hurt for most of this year. He had, I think it was a shoulder injury. He played in only 33 games this year, had 46 points in those games, 20 goals, 26 assists. And for Hischier, he played in 57 games and had 86 points, 38 goals, 48 assists. And he had 7 points in 6 playoff games. The main thing with these guys is Patrick is the less explosive guy, I want to say. Hischier has, like, I watched a video that showed, like, his skating ability and, like, just an analysis of it. His acceleration is off the fucking chart. Like, it is ridiculous what this guy can do when he gets at top speed. Patrick is a good skater. He is definitely not at Hischier level of skating ability, but he makes up for that with his ability to get into the corners and kind of just body people around because, well, he's 6'3", 191, and he's only going to build into that frame more as he progresses. Hischier is 6 foot, 184. So there's two really, like, different players in terms of their playing style, but again, that doesn't mean that one is ridiculously better than the other, and, like, there's a clear distinction. I think that New Jersey is going to go with Hischier just because he seems to be, like, the guy that everyone is talking about most now because of Patrick's injury during the WHL season. So I'm going to assume that Patrick gets picked. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I'm not too sure who New Jersey, because obviously, you know, coming into, like, alright, so, like, the midterm and the final rankings for prospects, Nolan Patrick was one in both. So whatever they saw in him between the middle of the season and the end of the season, even with limited time because of injury, it must have upheld. So, and I to be honest with you, I'm not too sure either. Like you said, like, there's no real crazy difference in the two as performers. Like, they're both centers, they're both playmaking center. Like, they will be, you know, obviously solid centers, and we have solid centers on our team already, so that would be a nice compliment in a few years perhaps, but or instantly probably not, but you know what I mean. But I don't know, out of the two, I really prefer Hischier, but I don't know, like you were saying, like, there's just, like, that feeling that New Jersey's going to take him. And the reason that I say Hischier is because, like, you know, he already has, like, that. Because, like, he almost single-handedly carried Switzerland to that win over the United States back in, what was it the World Juniors, or was it? Yeah. Or whatever. And, like, that was, like, insane. Like, he scored twice. He had that, like, insane move through the defenders, like, near the net, and then put it past. I forget if it was Parsons in net or whatever, but or whoever.
Most likely, yeah. I would assume Parsons.
Yeah, and, like, so, like, you already know he could perform in the big, like, situation, and, like, and whatnot. So
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I would prefer Hischier, but like you said, there's a decent chance that New Jersey's gonna take him over Patrick just because of Patrick's injury and his situation there.
Yeah, and my thing is, I've regretted kind of making this comparison because I know what everyone's going to say as soon as I make it. But I almost see a little bit of Couturier in Patrick, and I know every Flyers fan is going to be like, fucking no, I don't want that. I don't want another Sean Couturier because obviously, since the fact that the Flyers have the number 2 pick, we can just trade Couturier now because he is totally expendable. If you believe that, just stop watching this right now because you don't deserve to be watching this podcast.
But come back in a little bit because we'll be talking about other shows.
Yeah. when CSN Philly put up that article or whatever that had some of the writers' responses to that, and granted, all of them said that it didn't make Couturier expendable. The fact that you even asked the question is so disrespectful. Like, come on.
Yeah, it's a pretty dumb question.
The undervaluing of Couturier is so bad. I can't wait for him to just prove everyone wrong at some point. Hopefully this year.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
But I kind of see a little bit of Couturier and Patrick just because of how he plays. Like, he just, especially on the penalty kill, I've seen him just... The way he plays on there reminds me a lot of Coots. He is some kind... Like, he's so hard to get a handle on because... He uses his speed so much. He relies on that more than anything else. When he plays on the PK or is trying to play defense, he relies on that speed to close the gap, and he does it really well. It's not a bad thing, but if he gets a leg injury and he can't use the speed as much, it's gonna be a little bit more difficult for him because he isn't that big, and he relies on that speed so much. So it's not a bad thing, and it's not really a knock against him. It's just more of a concern that I have. And I just have a thing for big centers. I've just always preferred having a big center along with winger. I like a bigger team, but that's just me. It really doesn't have that much of an impact. But if you can outwork the other team along the boards, it's gonna help a lot.
Yeah.
But you obviously need the skill to go along with that, and that's why players like Dale Weiss are not ideal.
Yeah, to say the least.
Yeah, you gotta have the skill, but I like the size as a base. So that's just basically my thoughts on Patrick and Hischier. Who the fuck knows though? If we're gonna get either one of the two, and don't be disappointed with either of them because we're getting it's a top 2 talent.
Yeah.
There's no way it's not gonna be Patrick or Hischier unless one of them just falls off the face of the earth in the next month or literally a month and a half, basically, because the draft is on the 27th of June, I think. I'm pretty sure the 27th.
Somewhere around there.
Yeah, the expansion draft is the 24th, and I think it's 2 or 3 days later, so it's something like that.
It is on the 23rd and 24th.
Oh, well, damn. Oh yeah, that's right, because I forgot that I remember because we were talking about that before, and we realized the NHL finally did a smart thing and had them back to back.
Yeah, and then the expansion draft is the 21st. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really good by the NHL to have that.
Yeah, back to back there.
Yeah, it's gonna be.
And the actual draft is Friday, Saturday, so another prime time marketplace. Wow, look at the NHL. Look at the NHL marketing properly for once.
Stepping up their game for once in their existence.
Pretty much, yeah.
But to transition into that, the expansion draft. I have no idea who Vegas is picking. I've done a lot of simulations on Cap Friendly, and I've just kind of assumed that they're going to take Raffle because he makes the most sense and he's the best player, I think, for them to take. I'm assuming that we're going to protect Jordan Wheel. If we don't, though, I could kind of see them taking him. But at the same time, I feel like they are going to take guys who have pretty, at the very least, $1 million in salary, just because they're going to have to reach that cap floor. So I'm assuming it's going to be Raffle or a guy like Reed. There's no way they protect Matt Reed.
No.
And they're not going to take Dale Weiss because it's Dale Weiss and he's garbage.
Yeah.
So I'll put the picture of what I projected in the YouTube video. So I have the team looking like this. Travis Konechny, it'll be on the... And I'm just going to do like the line projections too, which it's stupid to do line projections in May, but I'm doing it anyway.
Yeah.
Konechny with Giroux and Simmons on the top line. Wheel is going to be the second line left winger with Nolan Patrick, and you can just make it Patrick / Hischier.
Basically, whoever we pick is going to be our second line center. Yeah.
Basically, yeah. So, whoever the second overall pick is, along with Wheel and Voracek, Shen with Couturier and Lindblom, because Oscar Lindblom, I feel like, is definitely going to make this team. I've seen so many people be high on him, and he just seems to be tearing it up in the SHL.
Yeah, he
isn't under contract yet, but I don't think it's gonna. He'll be under contract by training camp.
Yeah,
and that's
Lindblom played extraordinarily well in the SHL. Yeah, he played really well.
And you got to remember, he's only 20 years old,
Yeah.
and he's like almost a point per game player in the SHL.
Yeah, and that
which
league
is
pretty much full
the
of
Swedish Pro League.
Yeah, like that league is pretty much like that. Like 20-year-olds are not a common occurrence in the SHL. Basically, like that's like a league where a lot of like, I wouldn't say failed NHL players, but like some NHL guys who are like getting up in there in their careers and whatnot and don't have spots on teams, and so they go there. So like they're still good, like there are good players in that league, and he's putting up like he put up, I forget, I'm not sure how many points exactly, but he had a good season over there.
I believe it was like 46 points in like 50 some games. So again, like he's almost a point per game player, and like you said, it's guys who, you know, granted they're not, who they wouldn't be superstars in the NHL most likely, but in Europe, and that's the thing too. People forget that the game in Europe is so much different. There could be NHL prospects here who just don't work out at the NHL, but are elite players in Europe.
Yeah.
But I don't think Lindblom is one of those guys. Lindblom is like way too good to only be good in Europe. And we were talking about this before we started recording. He's only like 6'2", 187. He does not look like that when he's on the ice. He looks like a freaking behemoth. Like, he looks like he will run you over and he will hurt you by running you over. Like,
and like even looking at like a picture of him, like he looks like he's maybe 5'11". Like,
and then you look at him on the ice and it's like, oh, he's a runaway train.
Yeah.
that is not good for the other team, but that is very good for us.
And yeah, he was almost a point per game. He was 52 games. He had 47 points, 22 goals, 25 assists. And then he also, in the playoffs, played 20 games, had 14 points. So
he's very good.
Yeah, he's good.
And there's no way that he doesn't make the team, I don't think, unless he just has a horrific training camp, but I
doubt it.
There's no way. There's no way.
Yeah.
Fourth line, I have Vecchioni with Filppula and Weiss. That's not an ideal fourth line, but you're just gonna have to make do. Belmar's not on the team. Van de Velde's not starting. Like, that's the best thing. Like, Belmar's on the bench. Van de Velde's not even a thing anymore. That is the plan.
Yeah, really the only thing that's keeping that fourth line afloat will be Filppula, but even so, like, you know, he's not a terrible center. So
he'll that's the thing, like, and yeah, you could probably switch Filppula and Vecchioni, because I know that he is a center, but at the same time, I feel like they're gonna want Filppula to just chill there in the center role for now at least. Defense. So I have Provorov with Gudis, Ghost with Hag, and I don't know how this is really gonna work. I feel like it could happen though. Matt Honwick, I have the Flyers signing in this projection, and then he's paired with Sam Moran, and then Brandon Manning is the 7th defenseman. So my reasoning behind Honwick is, because at first I had Sanheim just making the team, but I kind of went about it like, okay, we're going to have so many rookies and like young guys on this team. Like, Gudis is going to be the veteran on this team.
And
they
Gudis is
need
like
someone else. Yeah, exactly. Like, Gudis is a quote-unquote veteran, but he's not someone who's really been around for that long.
Yeah.
Honwick, on the other hand, has been around a while. he was not great on the Leafs last year, but he was good enough. He is basically an upgrade in actually like what they want Andrew McDonald and Nick Schultz to be. Like, they want a guy who just kind of does his job. It's just that those guys didn't do their job, and Hunwick, for the most part, does. Again, he's not going to be a stud, but he's the guy who's going to help Sam Morin, because Morin's going to be a defensive defenseman who's going to beat the living shit out of every player that comes near him. So Hunwick will be there, just kind of be that calming force and just settle him down and make sure that he does the smart play. And then I just kind of went a little bit crazy. The goalies, I have Mason and Jonas Enroth. I want Mason to come back. You can't judge me for this. So what I have the Flyers doing is I had them trade Neuver to Calgary because they are currently the only team, I think, who really needs a starting goalie. Because Dallas just got Ben Bishop for a shit contract.
Yeah, I know they
that's
do.
So
they
bad.
had like their starting goalie this year was Brian Elliott. So
yeah, it was Elliott, but they also had started Chad Johnson for so much of the year because Elliott was hot trash at the beginning of the season.
Mm-hmm. So hopefully, hopefully that would happen. Like, that would be...
Yeah, that's, like, my best case scenario in terms of goalie situation, and I know a lot of people will be like, well, it's not best case if Steve Mason's starting goalie. Well, if you know what you can do, fuck off. So, again, Neuver to Calgary for a fifth, that's... I feel like it could happen, and, the fifth rounder, I just have it as a 2018 fifth. I don't know if you could get a 2017 fifth for him, but I just didn't feel like going through all the trouble and Cap Friendly did.
And I'm also just curious, what did you have, did you have, like, Andrew McDonald just, like, dying or something?
Oh, I just have him being buried in the AHL.
Oh, okay,
like,
I got you.
I'm assuming Hexie would just bury him down there. And some of the cap hits, let me mention that too. So I have the Flyers signing Wheel for 1.2 over 2 years. Mason gets 4.3 over 3 years. I don't know if he takes a 3-year contract. It's going to be tough to imagine that, especially with what Bishop just got.
Yeah. That's that would be a tough that'd be a tough sell.
The term is more worrying than the cap hit. Like, I think 4.3 is going to be pretty much what Mason wants, but it's going to be the term that's going to be a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Enroth, I just have it as a 1-year deal just because I think that if... Oh, excuse me. You probably just call up Stolars...
If something goes wrong.
At some point. Yeah, like if... Or you could just trade Enroth for, like, a pick if, like, the season's going nowhere and you don't really need, a surefire backup.
Yeah.
For Hunwick, I gave him 1.5 over 2 years. He made, like... I forget exactly what his cap hit was for the Leafs this year. But it was, I think, a little bit more, so he just gets a little bit less just because it's Matt Hunwick and he's not going to get an upgrade, I don't think.
Yeah, probably not.
Ghost, this is probably going to be somewhat around what he gets. 4.2 for 4 years. Vecchione I just have is 2 years and $950,000 because I think that's what is most likely going to happen. Stolars, I just tendered him, so he's at the same $753,000 and $333 because what the fuck is that cap hit?
Yeah, that's a collective bargaining agreement for you.
Yep, and yeah, we wonder why the NHL has lockouts and shit.
Who knows?
So
$333.
Patrick and Lindblom get their... Yeah.
That's what we have.
I wanted that extra $1. Why isn't it $753,334? Fucking assholes. So Patrick and Lindblom get the standard entry level. I just gave him $950,000 over 3 years. Again, so I have Raffle going to the Vegas Golden Knights, and I shipped off Matt Reed to Carolina for a 2017 fourth. Who knows if we get a 4th rounder for Matt Reed? That might be being a bit optimistic because it's Matt Reed and he really doesn't do a whole lot, but that's just kind of me being optimistic that Carolina will... Because Carolina's not a bad team. Like, that's the thing. Carolina is a pretty decent team. Like, they almost made the playoffs last year.
Yeah.
So they might just want, like, an extra winger, and I think that they need one with Stepniak. Shit, I think it's Stepniak whose contract is ending. I think that they have a few other guys whose contracts are ending, and they're wingers, so that just made the most sense for me. But yeah, otherwise, the main thing that I was worried about with doing, like, the predictions for the team next year was the goalie situation, and I've had Bernier coming to the Flyers and it being a Bernier-Neuver tandem, which, oh god, I think I just vomited a little bit. Like, that's sadly what I envision is going to happen, but
that's just like
that's not good.
That's like the least ideal scenario,
But then again, Hextall said that he didn't want a Neuver and Solart's tandem. So who, like, the problem with Hextall saying that is, who the fuck are we going to get then?
Yeah.
Because the UFA goalie market is complete
trash.
Like, trash. Yeah, it's horrible.
But another thing that also I kind of wanted to, because we were talking about this prior to, and I saw it a while, like I've seen it for like the last like few weeks, with obviously the draft coming up, and us having the 2 pick. So like you were telling me before, and I've seen that there are rumors and whatnot of Braden Shen possibly getting dealt for a first rounder this year. And then when I asked you, you said that he'd probably be worth like a mid first rounder. So if we were to trade him, if we were to trade Braden Shen, do you think that the talent that we could get in a mid first rounder would be enough, or would be sufficient enough to start on a third line, or would we need to dip into free agency, or or just move some guys around and whatnot?
Well, the thing is with, like, the reason behind if I'm Ron Hextall and I'm, like, making it my priority to trade Shen, it's mostly for cap relief and not, like, really anything else. Mm-hmm. Because you look at Shen's cap and it's like, I think it's like $5 million at this point.
Yeah, 5.15.
And he's
5.1.
Yeah, 5. Yeah, again, like, what the fuck are NHL contracts? So 5.125 until the 2019-2020 season. He's not worth that. And I know a lot of people have mixed feelings about Braden Shen. When all he can do is really score power play goals, and he can't drive play, and he can't really score at even strength, I don't like paying that much for a winger. Like, that's the thing too, people keep saying, oh, he's a center. He's not a center. Like, he literally can't play center.
Yeah.
So therefore, he's not worth 5.125. If you're paying a winger 5.125, he better be on the second line, and he better be a permanent second liner. Like, there's no way you move him off of that line. Like, he is a top 6 player, and that's it. I don't know if he can do that. Like, he is a good power play scorer, but that's not enough to merit that contract. So the problem is, though, I don't know who the hell we trade him to, because the teams right now, I believe, that are... Let me check. Yeah, so basically I would envision us getting somewhere between, like, 12 to 17, somewhere around there. So Carolina's at 12. Carolina could take on the cap hit, but it's Carolina. They have a pretty ridiculous budget because it's Carolina and they don't make money. Winnipeg would be interesting because they, as far as I know, I think they could have the cap to take on they have $6 million in cap right now, and that's before some of the contracts fall off the books. Chris Thorburn falls off, and they definitely won't bring him back. Not really much else in terms of... Well, Andrei Pavlik falls off. Winnipeg might be a possibility. They don't really have a lot of good wingers. Like Chris Thorburn, as I can't say his frickin' name, would start for that team somehow, even though all he does is punch people. So, they could make a move to Winnipeg. I don't know if Winnipeg would be willing to give up that 13th pick. Tampa, I can't imagine doing it. They wouldn't trade with the Islanders simply because it's another Metro team. Columbus, they wouldn't trade with Columbus. Calgary, Calgary is... I don't think they would, but... That one, and that's what I mean. Like, Calgary, the teams that are there, it's going to be tough for them to make a deal with one of those teams.
Yeah.
So, who knows if they can pull that off? And obviously, you can look at teams that, like you can acquire like second round pick and then get a prospect back, but I don't know. Like, again, if I'm trading Shen, it's for cap relief. It's because I don't think that he's a long term fit on this team, and you want to play Lindblom and guys like that more in the power play, and just make more room for those guys instead of Shen.
Yeah, I got you. So, like, pretty much, you shouldn't expect a Shen trade, but if there were to be one, don't be surprised, basically.
Yeah, definitely not. I wouldn't be completely shocked if Shen's not on the team after the draft.
Okay.
And I'm not going to be surprised if he is on the team, but...
Yeah, either way, it's basically like, don't be surprised if he's here, don't be surprised if he's gone.
Yep, exactly. So, that's pretty much it for just the stuff for next year. I kind of went over what rookies we're going to probably have on the roster next year, at least according to my prediction. I could be completely off because, again, we're not even at free agency, we're not at the draft yet, so it's very early still.
Yeah. We're not even done with the playoffs.
But, yeah, exactly. But, so the IHF Worlds are going on right now. There are a lot of flyers in there.
Yeah, there are.
So, the list of flyers that are there: Giroux, Konechny, Voracek, Couturier, Belmar, Filppula, Simmons, Provorov, and Gudas and Shen. So, just to run off the stats, Giroux has 2 goals, 4 assists. Konechny has no goals but 6 assists. Voracek 1 goal, 4 assists. Coots has no points in 2 games.
Clearly should be traded.
Obviously that, totally means that he should be traded. Belmar has 2 points in, I think it's like 4 games. Filppula has 1 goal, 2 assists. Simmons has 1 assist. Provorov is playing really well, 3 assists in 4 games. Gudas has 2 goals, 1 assist, and he also punched our captain, so that's nice. Shen has no points in 4 games. Yeah, big surprise there. Braden Shen isn't scoring. Who would have ever guessed that one?
Sure.
So
that's crazy though. Belmar already has 2 points. That's almost one half of his season total.
Yeah, seriously.
Wow.
Oh my God, everyone's making a big deal, and I would be able to enjoy this more if he wasn't going to get star treatment now from Axel. He turned down the player of the game honors the one game.
I saw that.
And
I gave it to the goalie.
I get it. He's a really good guy. I do like Belmar the person, but he's making way too much money, and he shouldn't even be on an NHL roster.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry. I want to see a team win a cup, and nice guys don't just win cups because they're nice. You actually have to have talent. But just don't tell Dave Axel what he's done at Worlds. Just
remind him that he had 7 points all of last year, and we're good. Or 9 or whatever it was.
He might not even care about that because it was like, well, yeah, but Konechny had that 1 turnover that one game. But Dave, he scored 40 points, but he had that 1 turnover.
Yeah.
Dave
Who
Axel.
knows? Yeah, Flyers. There are a lot of them at Worlds. Which is a good thing. We're representing Philadelphia.
Yeah.
And they're performing well. Most of them, except for Shen and Couturier. I mean, granted, Couturier has only played in 2 games, but they're all performing well. They all have points and whatnot. Obviously, Gudas sock punched our captain, but other than that, hockey's starting to kind of wind down here. We're going to be not much to talk about with hockey left, besides obviously the draft coming up and any free agent signings and whatnot. But Yeah, that's really it for hockey.
Yep. So so with hockey done, let's go into the Sixers. Again, the draft lottery is on Tuesday. And again, when this goes up, it'll be tomorrow. So I'll let Jared go through the draft scenarios because he put all this in our doc that we shared, and we put all of our topics in for today. So I'll let you go ahead and go through all the draft possibilities.
Yeah. So obviously the Sixers currently sit in the fourth spot for the in the lottery. So they have the fourth best odds at getting number one pick behind behind Boston, Phoenix, and the Lakers. So they have a 37.8% chance at a top three and an 11.9% chance at the number one. But it's a little bit higher just because of the pick swap / deal / pick acquisitions that we could get depending on where teams land. So the first overall pick, we will get. There's only two ways we can get the first overall pick. It would either be through winning the lottery on our own, or Sacramento winning the lottery and then pick swapping with them. The second overall pick and the third overall pick are the same situations. Either we win, or either we get those picks on our own, or pick swap with Sacramento. So say we got the fourth pick. Say we didn't move at all and got the fourth pick out of the lottery, and Sacramento made a jump up to 2. We would pick swap. Sacramento would get the 4. We would get the 2. Something like that. And then for the 4th through 13th overall picks, there's 3 ways. So it's either our own pick, so basically keeping the 4th, dropping to the 5th, 6th, etc. Pick swapping with the Sacramento Kings once again. So basically all these picks except for the 14 are available via pick swap with the Kings. That would be less than ideal because that would mean that we dropped significantly if we have to pick swap to get back up. So, but it wouldn't really matter in the end. But and then also we can get the Lakers pick. So the Lakers pick is top 3 protected, which means that if the Lakers get the lottery, or if the lottery concludes and the Lakers have either the first, second, or third overall picks, then we don't get their pick. But if it's 4th and down, we do get their pick. So, really rooting for the Lakers to get the 4th pick, so we get that. And then for obviously us to win the lottery, because that would be the ideal scenario at 1 and 4. And then the 14th overall pick, the only way that we can get the 14th overall pick, which is the last pick in the lottery, is through the Lakers pick. So, because there's obviously no way we'd be able to pick swap down or up with the Kings. So basically, obviously, we want to aim for that 1-4, but the chances at that happening are low, because for obvious reasons, a lot has to go right. We have to win the lottery, which is we have an 11.9% chance at doing. And the Lakers nearly have a 50% chance at landing a top 3 pick. So a lot needs to go right to get the 1-4 dream scenario. But still, a 2 top 5 picks, I mean, I wouldn't complain much about that. I don't know about you.
Yeah, like you said, the odds of it happening are so little. We did a bunch of sims on the Tankathon website, and
Yeah.
It took forever for me to get 1-4. You got it a few times, but it took forever for me to get it. But again, there's so much talent at the top of this draft. Obviously, Markelle Fultz, Lonzo Ball. Well, Lonzo Ball, I feel like so many teams are going to be cut your dad out of your life, and then maybe we'll draft you.
It would be hysterical just to see the Lakers, if the Lakers ended up falling to 4th and we got their pick and they didn't even get a pick, that would be hysterical because the Ball family would go berserk.
Can you imagine though, when Lonzo gets drafted, his dad is going to go up on stage with him to get that jersey. You know that, right?
Oh, without question. But you gotta
Stephen A.
think.
Smith is gonna
if the Lakers drop out of the top 3, they don't have a first round pick.
That's crazy.
That
is so crazy.
Oh, actually, I'm sorry. They do. They have the 28th pick.
But still, like, does that really count?
Yeah, they'll get like a low tier first rounder, which obviously is still good, but not. It's not. It won't be a Alonzo Ball or a Josh Jackson.
Yeah, like you're missing out on
top tier
one
talent.
of the top talents in the draft.
Yeah, you're missing out on an instant starter pretty much on your team.
Exactly. Yeah, like Josh Jackson's gonna be there. Jason Tatum, De'Aaron Fox is another guy. It's I don't think it's gonna really. I don't think there's a way that the Sixers really get screwed over in this, because there's just so many ways that they could move up, and there's so many ways that they could get 2 picks. Like as soon as the Lakers drop out of the top 3, it's like we got 2 picks no matter what. And with how the Lakers played at the end of the year and how bad the Sixers were at the end of the year, that only increased their chances to get those 2 picks. So, and also we have our lucky charm in JoJo there. So like obviously this means that we're going to get the 1 and 4 just hands down.
Yeah, we were talking about this before, and it was like if by the grace of anything that is good and pure, if we get 1 and 4, well, Joel Embiid is at that lottery. I don't. And with the way that, because obviously for the for the NFL draft, we won the coin flip, so we got the 14th pick instead of the 15th, and for the NHL draft, we moved up 11 spots. So,
it's bound to happen.
The Philadelphia draft luck currently isn't all that bad. It's not all that shabby. So, if we got 1-4, that would be. There is a possible chance that the Wells Fargo Center would be not standing the next day. So
I'm pretty sure they would rename the Wells Fargo Center the Sam Hinkie Center.
Yeah, either that or like the Sam and Embiid Process Center or something like that.
That actually sounds pretty dope.
Yeah,
not gonna lie,
Sam and Embiid
that sounds pretty
Process
solid.
Center. Maybe I'll have to copyright that or something. And if anybody wants it, I'll just charge them $1 billion for it.
Exactly. Just become billionaires and we're just like, okay, we're good now. We don't have to work for anything now. We can just be like, we coined this. We're good now. But seriously, if they get 1 and 4, or even if they get the number 1 pick via the pick swap, there needs to be a Sam Hinkie statue built outside of the Wells Fargo Center. There's no doubt about it. You have to build one.
And then you figure, and even if the Lakers pick doesn't convey, and they get a top 3 pick, it comes back next year completely unprotected. So that means basically, this year, like I said before, if the Lakers pick doesn't convey, so if they get 1, 2, or 3, then we don't get their pick. We only get our pick or Sacramento's pick via the pick swap. Next year, the Lakers, no matter where they finish, they could be the worst team. They could be the 5th worst team, 6th worst team in the league, and still somehow win the lottery or get a 2-pick, 3-pick, and that's our pick because it's not protected. And then also the 2019 pick that we get from Sacramento. So, yeah, there's
I had completely forgotten about that.
There are.
Holy shit.
We are set for a few years now. We're pretty much like Boston at this point. We. Somehow we are like Boston, but we didn't have any veterans with the caliber as Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, etc. to trade away, and somehow Sam Hinkie found a way to do this. So I'm not all too sure what's going to be going on in Philly, but it's going to be something good.
That's why when people say "Oh, Boston did such a great job," I'm like, no, the Nets were just stupid. Hinkie actually worked to get this.
The Nets,
Hinkie did everything.
That deal, the Nets were completely just dumb to do that deal. If you really think that, if you really think that a middle 30-year-old Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett are going to lead you to a title with Jeremy Lin as your point guard, you just need to reevaluate yourself as an NBA general manager. So, but
and 34-year-old Darren Williams.
Yeah, but a thing that I didn't have here because I forgot about it until now. Do you think, or would you like to see the Sixers sign Kyle Lowry this offseason?
It depends. Like, okay, free agency opens up after the draft, correct?
I'm pretty sure, yeah. Well, you could, I'm pretty sure free agency is, well, I'm trying to think, because LeBron did his thing back when he went to Miami in, like, the mid to late summer, I think, so. Yeah, I would imagine probably after the draft, or so.
Because, see, like, if we get, like, a Markelle Fultz, then I would say no.
Mm-hmm.
But if
by some means we drop, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like, if we drop and we get, I don't know who, but just not one of the top 3 or 4 players in the draft, then maybe. And, like, it all depends on how much he's going to cost. Because I don't know how long he wants in terms of term, like how many years he wants, but I just have a hard time thinking, like, oh yeah, let's go and sign some, 31-year-old, I think he is. He's, 31. Mm-hmm. Yeah, like, I just can't... I don't like the idea of signing someone like that when we're not really a title contender yet.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to be a playoff team most likely next year, but I don't know if I like, using money that we will be used to spend on, like, extending JoJo and Simmons and Saric and all these guys for Kyle Lowry. Mm-hmm. Like, if you're going to go out and sign a free agent, spend it on someone who's going to make your team, like, 5 times better. Mm.
I mean, yeah, obviously, Kyle Lowry's a wicked good player.
Yeah, he's good. Like, he's really good.
He's a really good player. But the thing is, I'm pretty sure that I'm not sure if it's, like, his wish or whatnot, but his max deal, which a lot of people are saying that, not necessarily what he'll get, but his max contract, I want to say it's in the 5-year...
Ew.
It's in, like, I think it's in, like, the 5-year, like, 100 and... I forget the exact number, but I'm trying to find it now while it's saying this. But basically, like, it'll be us giving him... All I remember is that it'll say us giving him around, like, $30-something million or, like, $25 million in his age 36 season. And I'm not sure I'm not really too sure. But, I wouldn't be opposed to it if we could get him for less than that. Like, if we were to say get him for maybe a 2-year deal with a team option on a third, or a 2-year deal with a team option on the second, or even a player option, like, I don't really mind. Well, in his case, you'd probably have to say it would be a player option because of his caliber as a player. Yeah. But I don't know. Like, if we could get him for anything less than the max, if we could get him for even 4 years, I wouldn't be, like, completely opposed. Like, obviously, I'd rather a 2 or 3 year. But other than that, I probably wouldn't be too interested, especially because we have, obviously, Ben Simmons, who is he's a 7-foot point guard. And we also have T.J. McConnell, and especially if we get, like you said, if we get a Fultz or Alonzo Ball in the draft. So at that point, it's more of like, well, we don't really need him all that much because we have the talent there anyway. So, and we don't have to spend max $200 million
5 years.
Money.
I don't like it.
Yeah, I could agree with you there.
Age 36 for a guy who, like, again, he's a really good player, but by then he's not going to be that great of a player, most likely.
Yeah.
I can't imagine paying him that much when we're going to, again, need to extend our key guys.
Yeah, so, and obviously he would be
I'm not all about that,
and obviously
really.
He would be a great fit on the Sixers because if you figure out if this, because I saw it the other day, like, a hypothetical, like, starting lineup for the Sixers, if they were to sign Lowry, would be obviously Lowry at the point. Then you'd have your shooting guard pretty much as a secondary point guard. Depending on our pick, that's more than likely who would end up being our starting shooting guard. Maybe Fultz, Ball, whatnot. If And obviously, if it drops, then maybe like I don't know, Jason Tatum. We could probably slide him into like a shooting guard or whatnot, because he was a small forward at Duke. But generally, it's not. It's going to convey to a shooting guard a lot of times in the NBA. But then so it would be Lowry, our pick, or if we don't get a solid shooting guard, if it ends up dropping too far or whatnot. Luau Cabarro, he's a solid option. I believe we still have Jared Bayless under contract for next year, and he's not a terrible option to have in the starting lineup. So you have some options there, and then it would be Dario, Embiid, and Simmons. So that
is a very good lineup.
That's a really good lineup.
Really good.
But like you said, the 5-year thing on Lowry is a bit unattractive, so you have to wait and see on the contract offer. I'm sure that the Sixers are trying to not have to offer him max, because that's obviously the goal and everything, but who knows if they'll be able to do that. Sam Hinkie would probably be able to get him for like $6 in like a bubblegum wrapper or something, but never know with Brian Colangelo.
Yeah, we never know with Colangelo at this point.
Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, that's really it for the Sixers. Obviously, like we said, draft is the 16th, so is tomorrow if you're listening to this on the day it is uploaded. So tune into that. Watch Joel Embiid just stand there and in his ever-loving grace and watch him get the number 1 and the number 4 pick for us. So that's really it for the Sixers. So now we'll move into some baseball. We'll talk a little bit of Phillies here. Nothing huge. Just a lot of little things and the bullpen. So the last 12 of their games, which were against the Dodgers, the Cubs, the Nationals, and the Mariners, obviously 4 very good teams. They lost 10 of those games. Mainly due to their bullpen. They did lead in, I want to say 10 of those games. I think they led, or maybe 11. I'm not sure. But they led in a lot of the games. I know in the 10 against the Dodgers, Cubs, and the Nationals, they did lead in 9 of those games. And then that kind of segues us into the bullpen struggles, which... yeah, those guys have not been having a good time out there. And Joaquin Benoit, one of obviously our bullpen pieces, he spoke out, kind of saying that he would rather, because at the current moment there really is no set role or set roles in the Phillies bullpen. Like the Pete Mackanin and Bob McClure, the pitching coach, and I'm not sure who the bullpen coach is. It's slipping my mind at the moment, but. They really haven't had a reason to solidify anybody in any role. So I don't really know. And obviously, Benoit being a veteran of a lot of years in the major leagues, he's almost 40 years. I think he's 39 years old. So obviously he should have a say, I guess, in kind of what the thing is. But I'm not really too sure where he's coming at here, just because of how bad that they have been. I don't really think that you have the I wouldn't say the right, because he does, but I don't think he should have the idea that they should have set roles when they really can't even get people out.
Yeah, exactly. Like Benoit has not been great this year. Obviously, his ERA is at 5.79. He's 0-2. He has 1 save and he's blown 2 of them. I get that he wants roles, but you have to understand from a manager's perspective, what reason does he have to give anyone roles at this point? Neris has choked away every chance he had to be the closer. Benoit has as well. Gomez was garbage from the beginning.
Now he's on the DL, so.
Yeah, and that's exactly. Yeah. So I get why he's like annoyed with it, but at the same time, if you don't really have any room to speak, you haven't done anything this year. And sure, it's not the most ideal thing, but and one thing that I forget who I saw say this, but I think it was John Stolas, Felsky Files, who does stuff for the Good Fight, and he was saying, like, I get why he wants this, but at the same time, you have to be flexible as a bullpen pitcher. Like, unless you're the closer, you got to be able to, do other things.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you got to be able to pitch the 7th sometimes. You got to be able to pitch the 8th. You got to be able to do the 6th sometime. You got to be able to do 2 innings, maybe even like 2 2/3 or whatever. So, I get why Ben was mad, but I just think that it's not good timing for him speaking out about that.
Yeah, and it really comes at a bad time because at the beginning of the year like in the off season and whatnot, when obviously we signed Benoit, we signed Hischier, and to already add on to Joely Rodriguez, Eduardo Ramos, Jamar Gomez, Hector Neris, to add on to those guys who were pretty much the only 4 guys that were even decent in the bullpen last year, to add, Benoit and Nishik was great. It seemed great, and then to start the year, they were, they weren't terrible, but they weren't great. Most of the league was bad. Like, most of the league's bullpens were pretty bad. Like, the Phillies bullpen was, I believe, in like the top half because like from 15, 16, 17 on down, like those teams' bullpens were atrocious, and like the Nationals, their bullpen's pretty bad too, but they're just, Ryan Zimmerman is like the second coming this year, and Bryce Harper is having a god year, and Jason Worth is apparently 2008 Jason Worth again. So like everything is just clicking for the Nats except their bullpen, and they're still up in the East, and they have like the second best record in baseball. So obviously the bullpen isn't 100% like a necessity when you have an offense like that, but we don't have an offense like that. So
yeah, and but seriously, what is with Ryan Zimmerman? Since when did it turn into like 2007 and he's like the best third baseman in baseball?
Who knows? I mean, your guess is as good as mine, but like the bullpen, like they were doing decent, and then they heated up during that 6-game winning streak that we had. They had like a 2 ERA or something like that over like an 8-game or 9-game stretch. And they were pitching amazing, and then the Dodgers came along, and that all just went down the drain. So, and we get, obviously, that the Dodgers, the Cubs, the Nationals, and the Mariners aren't necessarily easy opponents. Like, this whole month is just a complete... The schedule this month is a complete challenge. Like, it is insane this month. If you haven't seen the schedule, so the end of April... we closed against the Marlins and the Dodgers. And then to open the month of May, it was a 4-game set against the Cubs, a 3-game set against the Nationals. Then we had 2 against the Mariners. Then again this weekend we played the Nationals. But now there's the game today, which is the 12th, which is Friday. That game was postponed, so now they're playing a doubleheader Sunday. So they'll have 3 against the Nats. Then they have 3 against the Rangers, 3 against the Pirates, 4 against the Rockies, and then they go Reds and Marlins. So the end of the month is a little bit less challenging, but still, like, that is a wicked schedule for a month.
And it barely even gets better because then the beginning of June it's the Giants. Then we get a little bit of a rest, I guess, with the Braves, but that's a 4-game series still. Then it's the Cardinals, Boston for 4 games, Arizona, St. Louis again, Arizona again, then Seattle. And then the Mets transition into July. The Phillies schedule is freaking ridiculous. Like, whoever made the schedule this year was like a Mets fan or something, because the way, like, we've played the Nationals how many times?
We've played the Nationals a lot.
That's ridiculous.
We've played the Nationals. So we had a series against them, in Philly. Then we had a series against them in Washington, and then we also played them again. That was in April. So at that point, we played them 6 times.
2 in April.
So we already played them 6 times in April. Then we played them 3 more times so far in May. So that's 9 times. So basically, of our first month and a half, we played the Nationals 12 times. So basically,
that's ridiculous.
Basically, 1/3 of our games after this weekend. So after the 14th have been. Pretty much 1/3 of our games have come against the Nationals. which is crazy.
And yet people are confused why the team has a losing record.
Yeah.
It's like, well, what do you want them to do? Like, they're not a great team yet, and they have like the most difficult schedule in all of baseball. It's not rocket science why they're losing games.
Yeah, they're
and especially when your bullpen is hot garbage.
If they could finish out at the end of May within 5 games of 500, I would take that as a win like every day of the week. So
yeah,
like right now I think they're 6 or 7 games under 500. Which
they are
really
they are 6 games under 500.
13 and 19.
13 and 19.
So at this point, I don't know. We didn't really expect much more of them. One thing I kind of do want to say that I didn't really write down, but for the lineup that was supposed to be tonight, Pete McKinnon moved Michael Franco from the cleanup down to the 6. He switched him and Tommy Joseph, who has been on a torrid pace in May. He has been absolutely just ripping the cover off the ball. I'll read you his line here. I believe that, so in May so far, Tommy Joseph is hitting 393, 500, 857. So that's pretty solid for a guy who was written off 2 weeks into the season. So
yeah, and I may have done that too, and I kind of feel bad now, but
yeah, his
turnaround is nuts.
It's been crazy, and another guy who is so then to kind of segue out of that, Aaron Nola, he made a rehab start with Lehigh Valley on Wednesday. He went 4 innings, allowed 4 hits, a run, 3 strikeouts, didn't walk a batter, threw 52 pitches, 37 of which were strikes. And Matt Klentak, Matt Klentak said that he is likely to make another rehab start with Lehigh Valley on Monday. So, obviously, Nick Pivetta in his 2 starts, or 3, I'm not sure, has he had 2 or 3 starts?
2.
He'll start one more time with us, and then he'll more than likely be back as long as nothing goes wrong. But obviously, Nick Pivetta hasn't really done that bad of a job. Like, he's going to start against the Nats again. He already started against the 3 opponents that he's played have been the Nats, the Dodgers, the Nats, and then the Nats again. So, not necessarily the easiest first 3 starts of your career. So, but he hasn't looked awful, really.
No, he's been solid. Like his ERA is at 5.4, but again, like he's played against the freaking Dodgers and the Nats, and now he's going to face the Nats again. But he only has 1 walk in his 10 innings pitched. He's got 11 strikeouts. He's been solid. Like, he's just faced some really good teams. But when you watch him pitch, like, he's done his job. He's been pretty good when he's pitched, and I still have very high hopes for him. Like, he's going to go back down to AAA and tear it up there, and hopefully maybe he'll even get called up at some point before the season's over. He'll definitely be a September call-up, and he could very well be called up before then. So with Nola, are we worried about Aaron Nola?
I don't really think so. No, like health wise, it wasn't an arm thing, so that's obviously encouraging. It was just a lower back strain. So, and a lower back strain for a pitcher isn't really like a thing, because like obviously, when he went on the DL originally, we were just kind of expecting him to miss a start, maybe 2. Now he's gonna miss 3 starts. But the thing is like that was because he felt something when he was in for his MRI or whatever. But if that was something, if that was an arm injury and he felt something when he was in for his MRI or whatnot, he'd be out until probably July. It kind of speaks to the severity of the injury, where he suffered a setback that was only a week. So I don't think there's too much to worry about. I mean, he started out the year decent. His velocity was there. He didn't really look like he had many mechanics problems, which he obviously had last year a little bit, probably due to the injury. But the velocity was there. I think he was even a tick up on his velocity to start the year. So I don't know. I don't really think there's much to worry about Nola. But one of the, at least in my opinion, one of the dumber moves the Phillies made, they brought up Jake Thompson to add some bullpen depth for whatever reason. And so he got sent back to AAA, and Luis Garcia. Well, he got sent back to AAA after the Mariners game, after the conclusion to the 2-game Mariners series. And just today, Luis Garcia got recalled for the fourth time this year already. So, and probably like the 30th of his career, the 30th time he's gotten called up. So, I don't get why they made the move to call up Thompson. Like, he needs more time in Lehigh Valley, and he needs more time as a starter because he still has starter potential. Like, I don't really see, like, out of everybody that's in AAA right now, out of, Thompson, Pavetta when he's back, Lively, Pinto, and Appel, Thompson probably has the best chance at remaining a starter out of all those 5. So, I don't know why they moved him up to add bullpen depth and not Lively or Pinto. Simply, I wouldn't touch up Mark Appel with a 10-foot stick at this point. But
yeah, I want him nowhere near Philly
until at least the end of the year. But
yeah,
I just didn't get the Thompson.
Yeah,
move.
like I don't understand it because they, especially since they called up Lively earlier in the year for bullpen depth, so why didn't you just do it now? Like, you called him up for when Nishek was on paternity leave, so why didn't you just do the same thing here? Like, what in what world did calling up Thompson, who, like you said, has probably the most potential out of the AAA guys, is to remain a starter? And that's not to say that the other guys aren't good, but like Pavetta's velocity obviously is going to intrigue some bullpen possibilities just because high velocity. It's just how it is. But Thompson, like, he doesn't rely on a really like fast fastball, so calling him up for bullpen depth was really strange. It's definitely a good thing that he's back in AAA now, because that definitely just didn't make like any sense for putting him in the bullpen for like the few games or whatever that he was
Yeah,
at.
and then like we mentioned before, Jemar Gomez went to the DL. I forget the specifics of the injury. It was an arm related thing though, so that's a bit concerning. He was obviously not too hot to start the year, and in the corresponding move, Ty Kelly, who was signed when Howie Kendrick went down, or a little bit after Howie Kendrick went down. He was then called, or he was with the Phillies, and he got optioned when they brought Thompson up, and then now that Gomez is on the DL, they recalled Ty Kelly, so they added another bench bat. So pretty much now the bench is open back up, which is a little bit better than, in my opinion, than having an 8-man bullpen. So yeah, that's the thing. And then also,
yeah, definitely.
If you haven't heard, Aaron Altair ain't bad. So
yeah, he's pretty good.
So this year, he is, ever since Howie Kendrick went down, like, you never want to see a guy get injured, but that was probably the most favorable injury that could have happened to the Phillies this year. So basically,
easily,
through 25 games and 74 at-bats, Aaron Altair is hitting .351 with a .435 on-base percentage, and is slugging .743 and has a 1.179 OPS. He leads the team in home runs with 7. He is tied for second in RBIs with 21. He also has 10 walks to go along with 21 strikeouts. Has 3 stolen bases, 8 doubles. He's pretty much just an extra base machine. He has like 3 straight games with a 3-run home run. So I don't really know what Aaron Altair is doing, but I'm fine with it. So
yeah, is there any way that he's not in the starting lineup once Howie Kendrick comes back?
I don't think so. Like, there's no way he's out. Like, how they do that, I have no idea. Whether they make it to where, and you see, before Tommy Joseph started heating up, like this situation would have been a lot easier because you could have taken Howie Kendrick and Tommy Joseph and you could have taken Howie Kendrick and slotted him in at first base, every day, or not every day, but like, a few times a week, 3 times a week, and then also platoon Altair with Saunders when Tommy Joseph started and whatnot. So, but now that Tommy Joseph is raking again, or at least starting to rake again, that it makes the situation a lot harder. Like, the offense here is not the problem; it's just the pitching, which is the complete opposite from last year. Like, they're almost averaging 5 runs a game this year. I think they're averaging like 4.9 runs a game or something like that.
Meanwhile, last year it was
I think last year they averaged like 3.7 or something like that. So
I'm surprised it's that high. Like, no lie, I thought it was like 2.5 or something.
Yeah, so
because
it's like
last year was just a pain to watch. Like, Odubel was the only offensive player who did anything. Like, Franco had the occasional home run, but for the most part it was just like, oh look, Odubel's on base again, and the inning's over.
Pretty much, yeah. But just kind of briefly over some performances. Cesar still doing. So he's still having a good year. 324 with about a 380 on base. Pleasant surprise, Andrew Knapp threw 32 at bats, hitting 281 with a 410 on base. That's gonna make the catching situation a lot harder. You see, I was doing a little article yesterday for a fan post on the Good Fight because I like engaging with the community. No, I'm just kidding, but
you were a man.
I was going through Cam Rupp stats and Andrew Knapp stats and Jorge Alfaro stats, and kind of what's going on there. Cam Rupp is hitting 263. He has 3 home runs. 367 on base. Like, he's not having a bad year. Like, obviously we don't want Cam Rupp. And I'm not gonna say we don't want Cam Rupp as our future thing, but like, we know that he's not the best option at this point. We know that's Jorge Alfaro. But we haven't had much to complain about at the catcher position because even when Rupp is not starting, Knapp is filling the role just fine. Like I said, he's hitting 281, getting on base at a 410 clip. So really, the catcher situation right now is solid, and to be honest with you, I think it only adds to the thing to where Jorge Alfaro could be up sooner rather than later, especially if Cam Rupp could kind of keep, I'm not saying he has to stay this hot throughout the whole year because I think right now he's hitting at about 360 or so in his last few games, but to go along with, like, him and Tommy Joseph pretty much they got hot like the same time, but if a team needs a catcher at the deadline and we're not in contention for the wild card, I don't see any reason that Matt Klentak wouldn't pull the trigger on a Cam Rupp trade, which would make my prediction correct because I'm a genius. But really, it's the catcher situation right now with how well Knapp is playing as a backup to Rupp, who is also playing good. That is a really, really favorable situation to be in. So,
well, and that's the thing. Like, if Rupp continues to play at this rate, you're going to get a decent return back because an AL team is just going to, like, I don't think that an NL team is going to make an offer for him. And if they do, it's not going to be as good of a one as something that an AL team is going to make because AL, they're just going to use him as a DH. Because, again, like, defense isn't his strong suit. They're going to view the hitting ability, and that's about it. And then it's like, oh, well, we have a nice backup catcher if we need it. But his hitting ability is going to be what draws a lot of people in, and you're going to be able to get a pretty decent return for it. It's not going to be a top 10 prospect that you're going to get back, but good enough that it makes it worth it for us, obviously. And then with Alfaro just completely tearing it up down in AAA, and Knapp coming into his own up here, it is a really good situation for the Phillies. And we said this back in spring training, like, this is a perfect situation for the Phillies with the depth that they have at each position, and it's showing more and more as the season goes on.
Yeah, and like you were mentioning, like, just to kind of go into a little bit thing here. Yeah, I'm not sure if you saw yesterday what Rhys Hoskins did, but that was a bit of a thing. Did you see what he did yesterday?
I don't think so. No. What did he do?
So basically, he almost hit for the cycle. He went 4 for 5. Had a run scored, a double, a triple, 5 RBI. Just missed it with the home run. He had 2 singles to go along with the double and the triple. Brought his average up to 348. Yeah.
Are we sure that Rhys Hoskins is human? Because I'm
not
not
sure.
really sure at this point.
Yeah, but then also Jorge Alfaro, he went 3 for 5, 3 runs with a double. So
I really need to get to a Lehigh game.
yeah, I'm probably gonna go to a few
That is like
this
the
summer.
greatest show in the minor leagues.
It's solid, and especially now because Dylan Cousins is starting to get hot. I'm not sure if you saw his walk-off home run the other day.
Oh
but
yeah, I saw that.
I'm not too positive if that ball has landed yet, so that might be a question we need to answer next week or something.
Wait, I think it just came through my window.
Really?
Yep, there it is. Yep. It just
what
literally
timing?
landed right in front of my face.
But then also, J.P. Crawford, he had his... You see, Matt Winkelman has been kind of following J.P. Crawford closely for obvious reasons because he's struggling a little bit. But his on-base streak ended yesterday at 17 games, I want to say. But the thing is, he scored 2 runs, so I'm not too sure how that's possible. I think he had to have gotten on base through errors because they played Buffalo and they had 3 errors. So
yeah,
I would imagine, and I don't think that counts as like on base. So
yeah, it wouldn't because it wouldn't count as because it's an out technically. So yeah,
but yeah, Lehigh Valley's starting to heat up. I think they've won 6 or 7 straight now. And I think they're in
that's not
first.
surprising at
yeah,
all.
not really. They started out just super slow. I'm pretty sure they're in first place right now in whatever their division is. I think it's like the North or something. The International League Northern Division. But yeah, Lehigh Valley right now is the that's the place to be watching for sure. Because Rhys Hoskins, Jorge Alfaro, Dylan Cousins starting to heat up. Hopefully JP can get heated up soon here. Nick Williams, he's having himself a decent year. Decent start to the year so far. He's still hitting around 270, 280, but he's hitting behind Jorge Alfaro, Dylan Cousins, and Rhys Hoskins. So you're not going to get much to hit there.
Like,
so.
It's like all the RBI numbers are just like really low for him, and then it's like, oh, why does he not have any RBI? Oh, he's batting behind those guys. That explains it.
That's probably the reason, but yeah, and then also some Phillies, like just actual, MLB news. Pete McCannon got his contract extended. A lot of people are freaking out for whatever reason. So he's extended through so his contract was only up until the end of this season, but he is now extended through 2018, so next season, and there's a club option for 2019. And when this news broke and I was looking around and people were like complaining, I really just don't understand why you're complaining about him getting his contract extended. Like, it's not like the team's gonna be ready to compete, more than likely, for a World Series next year. So why not give him another year to test the waters, and then give him Bryce Harper and Manny Machado to work with, and then I think
exactly.
You see, the thing is, I think Ryan Sandberg could manage that team to a fucking World Series. So.
Well, and that's something that I said, like, shortly after they signed him. I'm like, I don't think people remember how bad Ryan Sandberg was. Like, people forget so easily how shit Ryan Sandberg was at managing this team. And the thing is, I think a lot of the fans who are complaining don't understand how a rebuild works. It doesn't, like, yes, the Phillies have all the prospects in the world. Yes, they're going to be here relatively soon. No, that does not mean that we're winning the World Series this year and that we can contend this year. I get that Pete has made some questionable decisions, and I'm not necessarily saying that I love him as the manager, but that doesn't mean that I hate him as the manager. So, it's whatever. And I saw a lot of people saying, oh, it's a 2-year contract. It's literally not a 2-year contract.
Yeah, it's a 1 year with an option, basically.
And I swear people are going to be like, oh, well, it's a 2-year because it's like for this year and the next year. No, he was already under contract for this year. So it's just a 1-year contract. So people were freaking out about that, and it's a move that really doesn't even matter, because by the end of the year, the Phillies are going to know if they want Pete Mackanin to manage this team long term, and they could fire him at any point. They could fire him right now if they wanted to. Like, contracts are not like completely bonding. Like, you can fire them. It's not the end of the world that we signed him. Like, have you seen any freaking roster move recently? Players can get moved like nothing. Coaches can too. It's not set in stone, so there's nothing to freak out about.
Yeah, and like you said, Mackanin isn't, obviously, he's not a Joe Madden, but there really aren't many Joe Maddens. So
exactly.
Well, there's only one Joe Madden technically, but he's not going to be some manager like I remember before the season we were like talking about like Pete as a manager and whatnot. We were like, yeah, he's not going to get tossed, like whatever, and then he ended up getting tossed in like the first game of the year or whatever, but or the second game of the year. I know it was in like the first series, so but yeah, I don't know. I am fine with it. Give him another year. Let him work with, because like he was only with, like, and we get he's been with the Phillies for a good while now. He's been with them because I know he was with them when they. He was with them when they won it in 2008. I'm pretty sure.
I forget what the hell.
I think he was just I'm pretty sure he was just like the bench coach or something like that. But but still, like
he was
Yeah, he didn't have a major role with the Phils in 2008, but still, like, he's been there, done that with them, and let him, obviously now we have a new gen of players, and he still needs to kind of sift through, figure out his identity as a manager, because he's only been managing for a year and not even a half now, so we just gotta be patient with them. Obviously, like you said, he's made some questionable decisions, but he's also made some really good decisions that nobody talks about. So, to kind of
no one mentions
so
the good
things. So to kind of round off the Phillies here, Nick Fanti and Trevor Betancourt, they combined for a no-hitter with Lakewood last Saturday on the 6th. Fanti went the whole game. He went, except for the last out, he went 8 2/3. Obviously didn't give up a hit, didn't give up a run, gave up 3 walks and 9 strikeouts. But I believe also that he, like, I forget if it was him or if Jojo Romero, because that's what we'll be talking about next. I forget if it was which one of those two got like insane help from the defense, but in the process of Fanti doing that no-no along with Betancourt, he lowered his ERA down to a 1.48 through 30 and a third innings so far this season. And then, like I said, Jojo Romero, he flirted with the no-hitter. He allowed his first hit with 2 outs in the 6th. He didn't even know that he had a no-hitter going at that point, because he when I forget who they were playing, the Red Sox AA affiliate or single A affiliate, and when he saw when he turned around and saw the hit going into the gap because it was a double, he consequently looked at the scoreboard as well and noticed that was the first hit. So he didn't even know that.
Oh.
Yeah, he didn't even know that he had a no-hitter going to that point, but He faced.
Oh, that's so
Yeah,
sad.
he faced the minimum through 5, but he didn't have a perfect game because he had 2 walks. But I think like both times that he walked the person, the next play was a double play. So he got like really good help from the defense, and in the process, down to a 2.20 ERA through 32 2/3 innings. So the low minors, they are lighting it up with pitching so far this year. So that's obviously an insanely good sign.
Well, we mentioned this last week, the Lakewood pitching monster that it is down there. It's obviously still a monster, and it's obviously still eating like every single team in low A. Like that Lakewood team is some kind of crazy. Like
It's not even only Lakewood. Like Clearwater's crazy good too. Like
yeah, like, and again, we've said this so many times throughout the podcast, but like the Phillies' depth at pitching is so ridiculous. Like they have so many guys who, again, like okay, if Jake Thompson doesn't turn out, that sucks. So what? And like honestly, we have
Kilame,
guys like JoJo. We have all of a sudden Nick Fanti. We have
Kilame, Sixto,
Kilame. We like it's just so many guys that we're gonna have coming up, and that's the thing. Like, if one guy goes down, that sucks, and you obviously don't want to see that. But there's 5 other guys that are waiting to take his spot.
Yeah.
So the Phillies are absolutely loaded, and that's why when I see people freak out about Pete Mackanin being extended for 1 more year, and it's like, stop. The team is loaded for the next like
decade.
Probably decade, honestly. Yeah. Like they're fine. Don't worry about the manager being extended for 1 more year.
Yeah, pretty much. Like the depth, because obviously like even though our most talented pitchers aren't in high A right now or aren't in high minors, triple A, double A, we still have competent options there. Plus there's free agency. Plus there's trading ability. So. And we have the prospects to obviously pull off some trades. And then low minors guys in 4 years or so when they're cracking, the top of the lineup or when they're cracking the top of the rotation with like, a possible, Jake Arrieta or so. Because he's a free agent after this year.
Let's not forget that Sixto Sanchez is going to be the best pitcher in baseball in a few years.
Yeah, hopefully. And Kilame, obviously, he's doing really well. So, like, right there, we have 2 top of the line starters in the future, potential top of the line starters in the future. Obviously, to go along with the guys we have now already, we have Zach Eflin, who's been pitching pretty well since he got called up, came off the DL pretty much. And then also Aaron Nola, who he's only 20. Like we forget, he's only 23 years old. Eflin's only 22 years old. So you forget because these guys obviously are, it seems like they've been here for a while. But Nola's only in his 3rd year, which is crazy to think about that he's already in his 3rd year.
Yeah, that's. Seems like just yesterday he was making his debut.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
And Eflin, he's only in part of his 2nd year. Obviously, he was called up last year in June or whatever and got hurt, and then came off the DL, and he's been pitching well. So, like, you forget that these guys are so young. And then plus we have, like Kyle said before, insane pitching depth in the minor leagues. Like, if you could go through most systems and find, some journeymen who are going to be starting pitchers in AAA and AA and sometimes even single A if they're looking to bounce back like that much, and just work on mechanics. But you look through the Phillies system and it's literally all like fairly good to really good prospects. So to the people who are freaking out,
to Twitter, the Phillies don't
to
have
the
any
people
good
who are freaking out, just shut up. Just shut up. There's no warrant to that argument. Like literally none.
And again, like. Tell that to Twitter and all the people who think the Phillies don't have any good prospects.
Yeah, please just tweet.
We're
just tweet at me at jpaolo26. I will put you in your place within a series of 5 tweets. I can guarantee it.
Except the thing is, you can't like convince these people otherwise because we're not the Cubs. We haven't won a World Series yet, so we're obviously the worst team in baseball, and we have no prospects. We're not the Cubs.
And one more thing I kind of just wanted to just real quick, just before we get into your hot take for today. There was an article written. I'm not even sure who it was by. I really don't care who it was by, but
oh god,
but it said that Freddie Galvis is the better choice for the shortstop of the future.
You're not serious, are you?
I am dead serious.
Why? Explain to me why Freddie Galvis is a better option. Like, where is this article?
Okay, here it is. I found it. So
that is egregious.
So it's on Philly.com for the Inquirer. It was.
Oh, that explains it.
It was written by Mike Selsky. Shelsky? Who knows?
That dude.
Yeah, him.
Oh, that little chestnut.
The headline reads, Phillies shortstop of the future, despite mistakes, Freddie Galvis looks like the answer.
You know, remember, I think it may have been the episode where I went on my tangent about Mason and Couturier, which was like episode 8 or whatever. And I had mentioned that some guy had wrote an article saying that, Couturier isn't the Flyers don't think he's a second-line center now because of acquiring Filppula. That's the dude who wrote that article. That explains so much.
You see,
it all comes back to the Flyers.
It all comes back around.
It all comes back. He's a fun little... I might have to... How can you even possibly make that argument?
And you see, the thing is, like, even if JP doesn't convey to what he can be, like, we all know that JP can be a star in this league. Like, he is what he is. Like, he is insanely good at baseball because he's JP Crawford. Like, but even if he does not convey to half of what he can be, there's this dude that is gonna be a free agent in like 2 years. His name's Manny Machado. He could play shortstop too. And if you didn't hear, we also have this guy named Maikel Franco at third base, so we don't have to worry about moving him out if he continues on his like improvement in his approach. So we're chilling. Like, there's a lot of better options than Freddie Galvis.
Last thing before I go into my hot take about this, worst case scenario for JP Crawford. He turns into a Freddie Galvis with better vision.
Yeah.
That is literally the worst case. Because he's already better than Freddie defensively. Like, he's already
Which is
years
insane.
Ahead. And, because Freddie is one of the top defensive shortstops in the league.
And JP is better
but
somehow.
Freddie is complete garbage in terms of his plate vision and discipline. Like, he just swings at everything. And like we said, I think on the day of their home opener, he either hits a home run or he's going to strike out.
He's pretty much like 2014 to 2016 Ryan Howard. Just a minimized version. Like, just minimize the tab a little bit, and that's who Freddie Galvis is.
But yeah, that's a horrible article, and it doesn't surprise me at all that he wrote it after his Couturier article. So that doesn't surprise me at all. So hot take time. I'm pretty much just gonna stick with baseball here. I was thinking of some hockey things, but I think just the way people have overreacted to the Phillies in the last couple of days and weeks, they'll go to stick with that. My hot take is that the Philadelphia Phillies are a good baseball team, and they are still a wild card contender. The bullpen is bad. We know this. We can see that pretty clearly. Pat Neshek is like the only bright spot of the bullpen at this point. But the rest of the team is playing well. Like, what else is bad about this team besides the bullpen? The starting pitching is good. Like, it's not great, but it's not
terrible.
It's not bad.
Yeah,
it's really not
feasible.
bad.
It's feasible.
Yeah, and like you said, the offense is averaging like 5 runs a game.
Almost. Yeah.
That's pretty freaking good.
Bad.
And Altair's tearing the cover off the ball. Franco is not performing as well as we want him to be, but
his approach has gotten a lot better.
Yeah, and people are overreacting to Franco too, which I could go into a whole separate rant about that.
We could spend hours on this.
But again, the Phillies, just the base of the hot take, Phillies are a good team, and they are a wild card contender still. And they are going to be in this till the very end because there's no way the bullpen will continue to be this bad. It's going to
there's no way like the bullpen stays that bad. So, I mean, I agree. Like, I wouldn't call them like a surefire wild card contender, but like if most things go right, if the bullpen comes back down to I don't even know if you'd call it come back down to earth because I don't know what they're doing right now, but like if the bullpen like remains on planet Earth, but is slightly better. I don't know what the analogy is, but basically if the bullpen improves and Maikel Franco begins to heat up, and Tommy Joseph, Cameron Rupp, Freddie Galvis, because Freddie's been hitting well as of late as well. If those guys kind of platoon at the top of if they start hitting 270, 280 apiece, if they platoon there, and if starting pitching, obviously Hellickson, he's been fine all year. Eichhoff, he's been a bit shaky as of recent, but I don't think there's too much to worry about there. Like we told you, the schedule that they've had, and that basically explains the struggles, I guess. Because young pitchers are going to overthink a really good opponent. It's just the nature of the game. But then if that happens and the bullpen comes down to earth, or comes up to earth or whatever, but they could, like, there's a surefire way, and especially if they trade Rupp and get a prospect and Alfaro comes up, and when Hoskins, or if Hoskins comes up and just provides some sort of crazy spark more to the offense than there already is, then I could definitely see it, but I wouldn't call it a surefire contention, but a fairly possible one.
Yeah, like, me saying they're a wildcard team is assuming that the bullpen returns to average. Because that's the thing, like, because they're not even close to below average at this point. They are catastrophically horrible. Like, they're not even close to just a bad bullpen. They are pathetic. So once the bullpen just returns to an average bullpen, and assuming everything else stays the same, basically, and some things improve, there's no reason why they can't be a wild card contender. Like, there's absolutely no reason. And I think people's got to start giving this team credit. They're better than what their record shows. They are, at the very least, a 500 team if the bullpen performs average throughout the first, month and a half.
Yeah, basically. About a 500 team. And if the NL continues to go how it has been going, with the Mets being not that great, they've been getting. You swear to God, every day there's another injury, but with them, which
or Matt Harvey and his.
But like one thing it is I have some inside knowledge on Matt Harvey, believe it or not. So my just some quick story time. But my one of my professors at school, he knows because he lives in New York, which is where I go to school, near Long Island, and so he lives here, and he knows he goes to City Field and whatnot sometimes, but other times he'll just kind of go to a local bar or whatnot, local sports bar or just a regular bar and just watch the game. And he knows a few bartenders who say that Matt Harvey drinks like a tank.
Boy.
They know Harvey's not a regular there, but when he comes in, and if he's if nothing's going on, if it's not mid-season or whatnot, or if there's a extended break, they say he could drink. So that's a little bit inside knowledge there on Matt Harvey.
I wish I could say it surprises me, but it doesn't.
It's Matt Harvey.
And it's Matt Harvey, and I don't know, there's just something about him that just screams I'm a flaming douchebag.
Yeah, like he is
Like,
literally
he
putting
is-
him in a place. He's putting himself in a place to lose tens of millions of dollars
Yeah, because when is he a free agent?
this year. Or no, next year.
Oh,
next year.
boy.
Still,
Still,
he's with the
like,
class.
He's still gonna lose.
He's with like
he's
the.
losing out on so
Oh yeah,
much
he's
money.
with like the Machado, Harper, that class. Like,
Oh shit, that's right. I forgot that he was a part
so
of that
he's
class.
gonna.
Oh
so
god,
he
he's
is
losing
losing
so much money.
a lot unless he comes out and admits all of his past mistakes and then like does like an absurd amount of like community work and advocating against all this crap and then actually pitches well.
Well, that's
Then
the thing. Like
maybe.
he hasn't even pitched well. Like he's been bad.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. Like he can't even just. It's not like a player who was like playing lights out. It's just that he did a really shitty thing. He's a shitty player at the moment who's doing shitty things. Like you got to prove yourself at both ends. He's losing out on, and especially in the free agent class, that's going to increase the market for like the salaries that players are going to make.
Yeah.
Because like Harper's going to get 400 probably plus million, Machado close to the same thing. So the entire market is going to get like inflated with that. So yeah, whoo boy, that's really shitty for him.
Yeah.
That's really shitty.
But
That's a very interesting way to go out.
very,
That's,
yeah.
God damn.
Yeah, very. But yeah, so that'll conclude my thoughts and notes. I'm sure that that concludes yours as well. But yeah.
Yeah, that's about it. So next week we'll have obviously more Phillies things. Probably just a closing update on how the Flyers players did at the World Championships. Obviously the Eastern Conference Finals and Western Conference Finals updates.
Well, the Sixers
We'll maybe be partying because the lottery. We might be partying.
maybe,
here, so
hopefully.
it's. We'll get JoJo to come on somehow.
Yeah. Well,
Can you imagine?
if we could get Joel Embiid on here,
I would say just like call it quits after that. Like that's the
peak.
perfect way to go out.
That's peak. That's peak podcast.
We would never get better than that.
No. Well, I mean, we're already just atrocious as it is, so you can't get much worse.
Yeah.
I mean, you have Joel Embiid, then what else do you do? Nothing. So.
So depressing. It got really depressing there. But that'll do it for this episode.
The 15th one.
We'll most likely see. What were you
No, I
gonna
was just
say?
saying I was just kind of like jumping and like saying the 15th one because I thought it would be like a cool like visual or like a cool like Never mind.
Yeah, I got you. The most awkward outro.
Yeah,
of
it's
all
a weird
time.
one. So it's about a minute and a half outro at this point.
It's okay. I think I'm pretty sure I've done worse than this, so it's okay. But we will catch you guys next week, assuming we actually have things to talk about. I'm sure we will. But so that'll do it for this week. We will catch you next time. Thank you for listening, and peace out.
They do. Fly ball left field. Tagging from third is Suarez. Goodell comes running in. He's under it. Makes the catch. Here's the throw to the plate. It's in the air. He is out! Cameron Rupp hangs on! Oh, man, what a play! Cameron Rupp hangs on.
Wow.
Everybody to their feet. What a play by Cameron Rupp. The throw took him into the baseline. He grabs it, hangs on, takes the contact.